Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Calling your attention, as always, to Tarpley.net. Keep up with the stories and buy my books, above all, at Tarpley.net. The summer of dupes, the summer of provocateurs, the high season of gullibility, stupidity, and human folly on parade across this globe. As Cicero already said, right back in the early days of the Roman Empire, the late days of the Roman Republic, Cicero remarked that the number of fools was already infinite in those days, and nothing, I guess, has changed in our time. Now, the penny ante Elmer Gantry, religious huckster, demagogic entrepreneur, Reverend Terry Jones, has this kind of a past, using fake titles, possible embezzlement, kicked off the board, personality cult, and obviously turbulence is his stock in trade. This is not an Irenic figure. He is interested in creating turbulence and conflict as his business model. We'll be looking at this Donald Northrup that funded the entire operation, this Maranatha. You can look them up, the Maranatha Campus Ministries, now shut down, long history of abuses, cultism, and so forth. But now we get the copycats. There's a guy in Tennessee this morning called Bob Old, Reverend Old, is threatening or promising to burn Quran or Qurans. In Topeka, we have a group which is already active as provocateurs. This is the Westboro Baptist Church of Topeka, Kansas. These are the people who go around rejoicing and celebrating at military funerals because their line is that the deaths of these U.S. soldiers, this is a way to show God's anger at the toleration of homosexuality in the U.S. So they had been, obviously getting diminishing returns in terms of gate receipts on their military protests. They've got injunctions telling them to stay away from some of these funerals. So they've decided to branch out and open up a new line of activity, which is the Koran burning line of activity. And then we've got a guy called Duncan Philp, P-H-I-L-P, who is going to be in Cheyenne, Wyoming, on the steps of the state capitol, and he wants to burn a Koran too. So all the self-starters, all the small entrepreneurs, right? Maybe this is a plan to revive small business, because that's what it is. It's extortion, it's publicity stunts. Now, some of these people, of course, are mythomaniacs. That is, they do it because they want to bask in all the publicity that they're going to get. But for some of them, one suspects with Reverend Jones down there in Gainesville, it is the money, it is the long-term gate receipt aspect of this that attracts him. And now we have this interesting thing that as of Friday, September 9th, Reverend Jones says he wants to meet with Imam Faisal Rauf and do a barter deal where he says, I won't burn the Quran as long as you give up on your plan for the mosque at Ground Zero. Now, this is a meeting that one would like to see. Two provocateurs, two fakers playing on the gullibility, stupidity, suggestibility, superstition of all kinds of masses of people. Faisal Rauf, of course, FBI employee, FBI provocateur, one can say, putting together his FBI consultancy with the fact that he's a provocateur, also working for the regime of Bush the Younger and working for the State Department under the Obama regime. So that's Faisal Rauf, government consultant, government employee, government agent, government provocateur, U.S. government, of course, an intelligence figure. And then we have the somewhat, what can we say, seedier, more plebeian Reverend Jones there, who comes forward, obviously without this kind of institutional backup, but nevertheless getting tremendous harvest of publicity for his own activities as an Elmer Gantry. Now, with this, what we have now is this media circus, right? You remember the O.J. Simpson case. You remember the Balloon Boy. You remember the Beer Summit. You remember all of these other examples of media manipulation. And unfortunately, like Chandra Levy in the summer of 2001, these cases, these stories are sometimes used to hypnotize and mesmerize the gullible masses when something really big and really tragic is coming. And the coherence that one can see is that the inflaming of the fake war of civilizations, clash of civilizations, the West versus Islam, a complete fake, but that is gaining some traction as a result of this clown show, this dog and pony activity that we're seeing. Naturally, it would be easy to shut down Reverend Jones, right? We're told that, by the way, he's got a $140,000 mortgage on his church there. That has been called in by the local bank, so he's going to be going into foreclosure like so many of the rest of us. And they're putting that property on the market. It was originally $2.9 million. You can now get it for as little as $1.1 million, we're told. So if you want to buy a church and set up your own operation, you can go down there, although the place is damaged, as you can always see on the TV stories. So the real issues, of course, in the background, the world economic depression, 20 to 25% unemployment, 4 to 5 million foreclosures per year, a collapsing world economy, the statistics on genocide as a result of these economic conditions in the third world, in Central Africa, the Sahel, and so forth. Not in, but we can be sure that these are dramatic. All of that ignored in favor of publicity stunts. Now, it's also important to see this was a summer-long strategy, the summer of gullibility, the summer of dupes and provocateurs. Starts off with Shirley Sherrod, right, an obscure person, or at least relatively so, catapulted into attention by Andrew Breitbart, a right-wing reactionary provocateur who obviously, using his previous story of the pimp and the prostitute going to Acorn, which was edited and hooked up, doctored to a fare thee well, to create impressions that possibly never existed in the real world, although we can't be sure, with Acorn, of course. But Breitbart, an experienced provocateur, puts up this highly edited story of Shirley Sherrod, gets her fired, and we get an immediate reissue of the entire Obama race story. Then we get the desperate tin horn Republican demagogue, Governor Brewer of Arizona, with her oppressive anti-immigrant legislation, her police state oppressive laws, and that gets tremendous attention. We get a judge in California who overturns the existing proposition out there on gay marriage, a legitimate issue for those who are interested, but not at the level of a depression or a world war. And then, of course, we get the mosque with Faisal Rauf, FBI consultant, and now we've got Reverend Terry Jones. So we've got seamless wall-to-wall coverage, the summer of dupes, the summer of provocateurs. We'll be back in a minute.